Without further ado, today we have a rather stellar cast, not two, but three representatives of three rather important projects. First, GONKA, then HackerOne, and of course, Bitfury. And I believe that we don't need to waste even time to introduce them, but I would just rather focus on the format of the session, meaning that I will be speaking from the side of GONKA and asking rather high-level questions. And after reflecting, our guests will be given to Sergey, who will reflect on what the community needs from the actual program and how the topic can actually help the community to grow.
Yeah, I promise to keep it simple.
At least one of us. So thank you very much that you're here. As I wanted to start from the new guests, Lori, would you like to say several words about yourself, despite the fact that you were already introduced in the Discord?
Yes, I will. I'll just introduce myself very briefly. So I'm Lori, based in London. I've been working with HackerOne for the past 9 years, implementing bug bounty and vulnerability disclosure programs across all of Europe and Asia, across Web3, Web2, every single national governments, open source projects, you name it. I'm really here to help everybody understand what a bug bounty is, how it works, and answer any questions about how this is going to go forward.
Well, I actually have several questions because honestly, I am very happy to see such a high-profile person from your project because you have a very high level of expertise in this field. And well, first of all, what makes the good bug report, and which kind of mistakes you would rather ask the beginners to avoid, especially if they're just starting in introducing themselves to HackerOne?
Yeah, so I think so we process every year about 80,000 valid vulnerability reports, right? But we actually receive about 500,000, right? So what does that mean? That means that means 420,000 no's, right? And so really, I think that the key to writing a good report is, number one, doing good research up front that's verifiable, right? Verifiable by whoever's going to receive it, right? Which would normally be an analyst who's performing triage, what we call triage. And there's a few things that are needed in those reports. Like, so first of all, that there needs to be a really, really clear proof of concept, which includes step-by-step instructions, including how to set up the environment, what steps have been followed, plus evidence of that. Now, that evidence could be a video, it could be screenshots, it could be Wireshark logs, right? So you can actually see actual network traffic, so that when someone gets it, it's really easy for them to verify that information and make sure that it can confirm exploitability. And another really common pitfall is like the security impact question, which means that there has to be an impact, right? So it can't be a theoretical vulnerability. So a lot of the vulnerabilities we reject are theoretical vulnerabilities, like maybe there's an insecure encryption library being used somewhere, or maybe there's some kind of configuration setting. That's fine, but you need to demonstrate what you can do with it. It has to have demonstrable security impact in order for it to be accepted by a customer. And then I think the final thing is that obviously you've got the proof of concept, you've got the impact. I think also we've all got to recognize that sometimes there's going to be to and fro, right? There's going to be questions like, I'm trying to reproduce this, I'm unable to, or can you explain exactly like what step you did here? And so just being on hand to answer those questions afterwards, and not just assuming it's a fire and forget kind of model. This is fundamentally a collaborative model where security teams and security researchers work together to understand and fix these issues. So I would say proof of concepts, evidence, and then a collaborative mindset. They're the three things that really contribute to a really positive partnership in this business.
Thank you for this answer. It's really good. But before we go further, I would like to start from beginning. And community wants to know how does this program work? Yeah. And yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah. Really simple. So basically, the core concept of a bug bounty program is that we have like what we call a security page, right? And on that security page, you've got three things. You've got number one, you've got a technical scope, right? And that technical scope is the digital assets that we would like tested, right? That we would like to collaborate with the security research community on securing, on discovering unknown vulnerabilities, right? The second thing is there's a kind of a rules section, and the rules section contains like, okay, here's like why we're doing this. Here's what we're looking for, right? That includes like positive examples, like we would like to find details of security vulnerabilities that we might be vulnerable to, that our users might be vulnerable to. It includes process, like what happens after you submit the report, right? How we're going to evaluate it, what steps we're going to take to verify this. And then it also includes the final part, which is the rewards, right? Which is a monetary amount of money that you could earn. We call it a bounty. Some governments like to call it vulnerability rewards. It sounds more official. And so you have the scope, you have the rules, and you have the rewards. And these three things together make a bug bounty program, basically.
Okay.
Now, yeah. Now, aside from that, there's different ways you can run this, right? So there's like there's limited scope versus open scope. There's private programs versus public programs, and there's all sorts of different threat model based ones versus CVSS based ones. There's lots of ways that you can run these, and typically we run this in an iterative and rollout model where we start off with a scope. In a private mode, and then we gradually increase that and eventually go public when we're familiar with the process and efficient at working together.
Okay, and what is the best way for security researchers to start right now?
So the best way for security researchers to start is to set up an account, right? So set up a HackerOne account and start researching the existing vulnerabilities that we've discovered in our other companies. So we have obviously there's tons of information online for bug bounty researchers, but I'll just point you to a few other resources. There's the opportunities directory at HackerOne, right? hackerone.com/opportunities, and there's the Hacktivity, hackerone.com/Hacktivity. And on both of those, you'll see some of our existing like customers and projects that we work with, including tons of open source, tons of Web3 companies and open source projects. And then on the Hacktivity side, you can actually see a live stream of vulnerabilities, including some pretty decent vulnerabilities discovered in blockchain and Web3 systems too.
Okay, and last question from me, I promise. I know I took a lot of time, but still. Last question: what common mistakes researchers should avoid? Yeah, because you obviously know common mistakes.
Common mistakes? You mean from a researcher perspective?
Yes, from a researcher perspective.
Yeah. So the common mistake today is submitting AI-generated vulnerabilities without checking it yourself. So please check everything yourself before you submit it. Our volume of vulnerabilities has got 96% year over year, right? Because these tools are great at research, right? So I would say don't not use them, right? Use them definitely, but make sure you verify everything that comes out of them. And I like to think of it as like a piece in the pipeline in the middle. So you dictate the research at the beginning. You have your hypothesis, right? And you want to test it, and you start experimenting with the code. The AI is going to really help you there, right? And it's going to identify things. But then that last mile at the end of it, you've also got to go in there and manually verify and check it and make sure you understand every line of code before you submit the vulnerability. Because the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a question. It's going to be like, well, hang on a minute, what does this line exactly do? And how exactly does that impact the confidentiality, the availability, the integrity of our users? So I would say just be very mindful about blindly submitting AI research. Make sure you do the first mile and the last mile manually, and then you'll have a good outcome.
Okay, great for this answer. So no AI slop, guys. Use your brain, please, or you will be punished. Victor, lead us forward, please. I'm finished here.
But just here, you will still continue. And yeah, doing things blindly is generally not the best idea. I would like to jump to Vadim, actually, because from the strategic alignment point of view, I'm rather curious how this cooperation, this three-way partnership happened to be. And why do you think this is the way to go, and how this particular form of cooperation between these three projects can actually makes a lot of sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Victor, for organizing this AMA session, and thanks HackerOne team for taking your time to present your view and explain everything that is going to be happening soon. For us, GONKA is a strategic investment, as we explained in our public announcements and in previous AMA sessions. So it is a strategic investment, and we are fully committed to help infrastructure to grow and achieve institutional grade maturity. And needless to say that it is important to make sure that the protocol is secure and safe, so it's obvious. What is important for us is not only making sure that the protocol is secure and safe, but also working with tier 1 firms who will have strong say in these regards, who will translate by the fact of partnership with us, with GONKA protocol, by putting their name near to the protocol, who will translate that the protocol is credible. Because whenever an institutional investor or a customer or a developer is assessing the protocol, of course, there's someone will take a look into Discord community, into GitHub submissions, and into institutional environment. What wallets are supporting the protocol? What exchanges are supporting the protocol? Who are the partners working together with the protocol? Who are security auditors? And the firm that facilitates such an important thing as Bug Bounty program, I guess, is one of the most important partners of ours. And to those who don't know HackerOne is an absolute leader, global leader in running all those bug bounty programs. And we are amazed and happy that they agreed to work and to help all of us and to help protocol in its growth and development. And the way how we structured partnership, like we explained during one of our previous AMA sessions, many firms, especially well-established firms, would prefer to have a counterparty to deal with. And there is no chance that HackerOne would sign agreement via smart contract with the protocol. So they needed a reliable counterparty. And it was just logical that Bitfury, as a strategic supporting partner, and would act as a counterparty, helping to structure agreements in the right way. So HackerOne signed agreement with Bitfury, and Bitfury is acting as a counterparty, as a billing partner. However, we are not intervening into what HackerOne is going to be doing. So it's going to be their expertise, their professionalism, their experience. We will act like a facilitator of the agreement, I would say. So this is how the partnership is structured. And we contributed our funds at this moment to pay for this work. And going forward, I guess we would bring reimbursement of these funds into the voting, so that community decides to what extent it's going to reimburse Bitfury for us covering expenses related with running this program.
Thank you. Sergey, would you like to ask something, or it's better?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank you, Vadim, and thank you, Bitfury, for supporting this partnership and for supporting our community. And I have one question, I think. What would success look like for Bitfury after, I don't know, the first phase of this program? Oh, I'm sorry. I think we lose Vadim. Oh, yeah.
No. I was just trying to unmute myself. No, success I'll define into will do great work. So I'm sure that HackerOne will deliver great results. So apologies, guys. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
No,
yes.
no, but
Oh, no, I can.
All right. Yeah, I told.
Okay, right now, me too. I can.
Well, I have no doubts that HackerOne will deliver great.
Vadim, I believe that we hear you with a very big delay.
But yes, I think we understand the answer, and we are looking forward for all the researchers who will join our course. Thank you, guys, in advance. And okay, Victor,
I would like to jump further to last but not least, David. Hi, David. I hope that you're still with us.
Yes.
Because I had some problems with. Oh, the connection is good. Okay, so on the same line of questions, I wanted to ask you, first of all, this type of partnership is the first one of its kind, being such a huge one. I want to immediately ask, what do you think is the first and the most important vector, critical bugs that the developers and researchers and white hackers should focus themselves on to help GONKA to move further as soon as possible?
Yes. First of all, I should say that as most of you know, bounty program in some form existed in the community already for a while, and for me, it's actually the most beautiful part of the community development, the amount of engineers who contributed to the code base of the project, to the especially when some critical vulnerabilities were found. And we're excited to make this process even more structured with help of HackerOne. At the same time, still community runs the show, so we still expect that some of the bounty would be paid out from the community pool directly, while we're still super excited to have HackerOne with all their expertise and also with the community of hackers around the world who will join the effort to make GONKA as secure as possible, as least vulnerable to attack as possible. For me, the most precious stuff is to find critical vulnerabilities. I should say that it's important to still if you submit the some found vulnerabilities, please be sure that you really check that this vector of attack exists and it's real. And also please be aware that some assumptions we all should just accept as they are. Like, for example, the assumption of majority of honest nodes. Any blockchain is built on this assumption. So your vector of attack shouldn't assume what if 2/3 of a host will decide to attack the network. Only attacks where a minority of hosts can coordinate and make significant attack. I also really grateful for Bitfury to step up and to facilitate this transaction. We already seen in the past how some miners actually helped to GONKA to coordinate efforts with some third parties, like 6 Blocks was the one who facilitated the relationship with WebEx and things like that. We think that this type of collaborations will actually continue to emerge, and we really are glad to see that big contributors to the network, they also care so much about resilience of the protocol and improvement to the protocol and following the roadmap which community recently voted for. So that's I'm generally quite excited about that. Looking already at some of the submissions which already were done through HackerOne, and really hopeful to see more and to ensure the security of the network.
Great. I have some follow-up question. Let's start from, I know it's obvious and broad question, but still I need to ask it. How will this program help hosts and inference users?
From host perspective, we all saw the results of some vulnerabilities in the code base which are found too late. When the attacks are possible, we saw in the past that some hosts they lose the rewards. And we all know that the equipment which community connects to the network is quite expensive equipment. Any attack can be quite it can significantly financially affect our hosts. So everything which I remember when it was discussed in some polls in the community, what will be the number one thing hosts care about is actually resilience to the potential attacks. I really believe that partnership with HackerOne give us the opportunity to make the code even better from this perspective. And for inference is similar. I think that what any developer who uses the network right now or will use in the future, the stability of the API. And so if you want to use the API in production, for sure, you want to be sure that the uptime is high and that nothing can significantly affect the work of inference API. So I think that it's the same for both sides. That to ensure that the business is as usual and no one affected negatively financially through vulnerabilities which are not detected earlier.
Yeah, to decrease financials for our hosts is great news. Okay, I have a next one. This one is from a researcher's perspective, researcher side of view. What parts of our network are in scope for this program? I mean, like proof of compute, ML nodes, maybe something else.
In general, I think currently the scope is kept quite wide. Please read the full description. It's quite open scope for vulnerabilities. I think that when we see a big amount of submissions and some share of payouts. Likely the scope will be limited by the community compared to where we are right now. But now I believe it's a great decision that we're not limiting it. For sure, POC consensus is important part. It's good to be focused on this area. ML nodes vulnerabilities with also in here, like especially when some vulnerability can allow attacker to reboot to crash ML node. We've seen it in the past. Hosts can be affected quite significantly by this type of actions. So ML nodes for sure are important parts where you can be focused. Or dev shards is this recent change which allowed us to scale the inference significantly in the network. And last but not the least is Ethereum breach. Anyone who is in the industry of blockchains knows that breaches are usually the most vulnerable for most of the projects. I think that most of the blockchains at some moments their breaches were compromised and money was stolen. So here we are really trying to make significant effort to make sure that the breach is safe. Certic audit firm recently published their audit, and also we hope that another audit with Trial of Bits, really reputable security audit firm, will be conducted around the Ethereum breach. But we also hope that the community will look carefully through the code base of the breach, and would really be great to see submissions on this subject. But still, if you look at other parts of the code base, still please please do that. What's important, what is out of scope, is hacking of infrastructure of particular hosts. For sure, it's not part of still every host of the network understand that they need to secure their servers. It's especially important in blockchain because when money on stake, when attackers can actually earn from attacking other participants, there is the likelihood of attack is much higher than in usual projects. We personally, it's first project like that for us. We never seen so many attack attempts for our previous projects. But it is responsibility of the host to protect their servers from direct DDoS attacks. Only if it's related to the code base of GONKA and it affects all the hosts, not some particular host, this should be considered in scope. And also some deprecated components, such as, for example, on-chain inference, which is already not used, deprecated, only dev shard inference is used. So deprecated components, only if they still somehow affect the network. Otherwise, please don't submit reports about them. But still, in general, scope is quite open, and we don't want to limit, because if we have some vulnerabilities, in some components which I haven't mentioned, it will be great to find them as well.
Okay, great. Thank you for the great question. Pardon. And for a community, little memo. So please read the Bug Bounty program description, and please don't hack the host, especially me. And right now we have a good connection with Vadim. Victor, can I ask my question to Vadim, if it's possible?
You go. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, Vadim, this question for you. What would success look like for Bitfury after the first phase of the program?
Yeah, guys, apologies for my connection. Is it better now? Can you hear me stable?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, just maybe to continue what David started to explain. So for me, I would define success in three layers. On operational level, because I would expect some high engagement and high number of submissions. So to me, it would show that there is an engagement from hacker side, from community members side, that they're reviewing codes, they are making some submissions, they are getting rewards. The fact that they are getting rewards obviously means that the submission was assessed and it was considered as valuable submission. That's the reason why they are getting rewards. So to me, this is an operational level. On tactical level, of course, it's like, you know, a good plumber. A good plumber is the one who you don't know about, right? So he does his work, and that's why your water system works. Similarly here, lack of major hacks or actually any noticeable hacks. That's the result on a tactical level, and it's going to be the result of all of ours. So it's not from HackerOne alone. Of course, it will show our cooperative result. HackerOne plus community plus Bitfury. Let's work all in cooperation. Let's review code. Let's get registered. Let's review. If you have anything to say, please feel free. Go to there. Right now, we have institutional way to obtain your vote or you obtain your submission, and for you to get rewarded by and contributing in a right and ethical manner. And on a strategic level, again, I would get back to what I started with. So it's trust. That's the key measure from my side. It's trust, because miners, they would not have enough competence to assess vulnerability of the protocol. How would they assess whether or not they shall join mining? And the same applies to all community members, developers, for example. First, by lack of major hacks, but lack of major hacks in the past does not guarantee anything in the future. And here comes trust. So if you work with tier 1 security auditors, if you work with tier 1 bug bounty program facilitators, it just translates trust that the protocol, the community, and supporters takes this question seriously enough to engage top tier firm in the world. So trust from miners, trust from developers, this is the strategic measure from my side. So that would be my answer.
Okay, great. Thank you. Great. I have two more questions, one for Lori and one for David. Let's start from Lori. This one came from like don't hack the hackers. So the question, how can researcher test safely and responsibly?
Yeah. So I would say, it's a good question. It really depends on the system and like what the protocol that you're testing. So like the simple example would be when you're testing like a web application that's HTTP, for example. And then we would recommend that you put in a HTTP header that identifies you as a security researcher. So like HTTP agent header saying, you know, a security researcher, perhaps with your username, handle, your identifier, basically. So obviously with like L2 and L1 networks, it's going to be slightly different, but some form of identification in your messages is always welcome, because then people can differentiate between the traffic, between legitimate traffic and test traffic. Then I think that when it comes to, we've been talking a lot about respecting the privacy of like tenants or of you know, other users on the network. like a really obvious way of getting around that is just to create your own test environment, right? So to create your own rig basically, and limit your testing to that to begin with. And then if you want to test it with someone else, then obviously just ask their permission, right? And work together, collaborate on that. So that's another way. And then finally, whenever we do, I mean, this happens all the time that we discover PII, like private information. This is kind of part of the goal of this, right? Is to try to work out how this could happen. Whenever you get as much as a sniff of any private information or any sensitive access, report it immediately, right? So if that means you've got like 2 records, just report it with the 2 records. Don't get all the records. You just need enough to prove the impact, because that reduces the blast radius. It reduces your kind of exposure too, and it means that the testing can be demonstrably proved as like safe and responsible, because you've done just enough to be able to prove impact without causing a larger problem, basically.
Without causing the disaster. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, without causing heart attacks from us. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Thank you for your answer. And answer for David. How will GONKA review and fix reported issues?
So the same way as community programs exist right now, there are multiple contributors in the community who usually review PRs and give their opinions and scores for the PRs and comments for the PRs. Similarly, the same people who you saw in the GitHub repo committing their changes, we all would love to see them reviewing what HackerOne community, the vulnerability HackerOne community submitted. Similar process, but still much more structured with the UI, so we can all see how things are going. Also, HackerOne provides us this opportunity to actually make some of these critical vulnerabilities not public immediately. The same way right now it happens in some DM chats or some special groups when some hosts or some developers make the disclosure, and it starts to be visible publicly only when the fix is ready to be published. In similar way, HackerOne provides the infrastructure for this non-public disclosures, so that we can be sure that no one can use significant vulnerabilities against hosts before community submit the update.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. And I think this will be last question from my side, but it's an open question. Feel free to grab it, each our speakers. So how our community will be informed about the program results or what's happening? Maybe Lori can answer.
Yeah, I can explain how it works in principle. I can walk you through the options. So, but basically, when you submit a report, it's a private object. The people that are on the report see it, and to begin with, that would be the submitter, and that would be the person who receives the report, which should typically be some form of security analyst on the GONKA team. So at that point, you've got these 2 people. Now, as the report, you may have worked with someone. You might have a team, a collaborator, and we have the ability to add additional collaborators on the report. And the security researcher could add someone they work with, and the security team could add someone, right? Someone who they need to help validate. And those are the people that will see the report. And there's a clear. It's like in Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, you can see little icons of who can see the report, right? Now, as the report gets fixed, right, and so all of a sudden it becomes like a disclosure, that there are different options for public disclosure. That first of all, there's an option to not disclose it and just say this particular person found a bug, and they get like a credit, and they say, you know, they found a bug in this particular system, but there's no details of the vulnerability. We can do a summary disclosure, which says like a short summary of the report, but not the detailed timeline and communications. And then finally, we can do a full disclosure of the report, which includes every single communication in the timeline. And different people will have different ways of disclosure. And I guess our general principle is the concept of what we call responsible disclosure, which means that we don't disclose anything that could put other users at risk, put PII on the internet. So anything that we do disclose publicly, we tend to cleanse. Like maybe it looks a bit like a military document with big black boxes on it. But we work within the transparency parameters that we're able to.
Great, thank you. And one follow-up question from you, Lori. How HackerOne platform helps establish accountability? I mean, yeah, from our side, from our network side, and also from researcher side.
Yeah, so it's really important. So one of our values is acting with integrity, and one of the ways that shows up is that we provide audit trails, right? So you'll be able to see like response times, like how fast we're responding to incoming requests. There's a very clear timeline of actions and report statuses from like new to like validated to remediated, and status updates in between. And whenever anybody, there's no anonymity in the platform on either side, on the user side or on the project side, which means that every time someone makes a change to the state, like say, for example, someone reports a bug that's a high, and actually after review, it gets rated as a medium, then the specific diff of the CVSS calculator, which is used to work this out, will be updated and published together with the accountability of who made that change and the justification for that change. So it's like a source code management solution. You can see who made what change where, and in that way we keep ourselves accountable because there is accountability built into the platform.
On that topic, I actually wanted to ask you: are we the first decentralized platform of yours? Because you have a huge cohort of global products and the enterprises with whom you're working. I believe that the pipeline here is slightly different.
Yeah,
and I'm like certain. I'm not certain. Like, who is easier to secure, the centralized one or the centralized one?
You know, like I was thinking about this before I came here today, because obviously we work with like Coinbase and OKX. We work with these big platform providers, right? But the thing is, like, the big difference for you is that your threat model is different because you want people to be in your network. And I was thinking about remote code execution. Your model is a remote code execution, right? So I think that you are a very special project in this area, which
we are the threat from within. You know,
yeah,
like
it makes it
some
super
kind of way.
super interesting. Yeah, and that's really exciting. I would say that you're definitely unique in a lot of these aspects in this model. Yeah.
You hear that? We're the first ones, and we are unique. So I'm absolutely happy that I'm listening to this from the CEO, from the Lori from HackerOne. And generally, I just wanted to move to the CEO of Bitfury, our Vadim, because he was silent for several minutes lately. Again, risk management. What is, from your perspective, as a core partner and investor of this unity, what do you think are the biggest risks at this stage? And what you would think we should all focus on at this point to move the project further?
You know, to me, the biggest question mark right now is hackers' engagement. I'd really like to observe how active our community members are going to contribute, because I have no doubts that HackerOne, together with GONKA team, will make everything possible to assess submissions timely, to take whatever remediation actions are required. So I have no doubts in that. But to me, the main indicator right now is community engagement, how active our contributors are going to be, reviewing codes and submitting their ideas with regards to security improvement. Probably it comes down to us making or getting more active on PR side, advertising this program, explaining how to submit, how to get registered, promoting the advantages of being participant of the program. So that's the key thing. I really want this program to make some, as I like to say, good noise among community, that it's working, it's real. You may make some good money instead of being a volunteers. You can get rewarded in a fair manner for your contributions. So it's a fair deal. So let's make sure that everyone who is capable of doing such things is engaged.
Thank you.
I don't see others. Yeah.
I agree with you, honestly. And just to expand on that and to speak about a rather important part, because doing this job and actually finding the vulnerabilities and reporting them correctly is one thing, but the awards for those vulnerabilities are also very important, and the transparent way of reporting them and the payouts around those vulnerabilities is also very essential for the community's deep and restful sleep. So I wanted to ask David, how does he think the GONKA approach will be to provide this transparent reporting around the payouts and resolve vulnerabilities? Because we already have something like this on the server, but I'm always happy to expand it into the bigger format. What do you think?
Sorry. First of all, I'm really glad that we bring in professionals who know the best of how properly to roll out this type of programs and how properly to make it transparent. As Lori mentioned, the transparency is a big part of this of their process, but as well they have stages. Like for example, first stage, HackerOne invited their selected hackers, and then it will be rolled out more and more. And here, every time when someone asks me what I believe should be the best way to do that, I actually quite open to say I would want to rely on HackerOne experience, and I hope our community also can rely on HackerOne experience from this perspective. And for sure, because of this platform, all these payouts will be transparent. Everyone will see how the program works. And I would repeat what Vadim already said. It is money. So everyone who participates can actually not only to contribute to the better state of the protocol, but as well be rewarded. And there are different kind of buckets and types of rewards, like for low severity bugs, medium, high, and critical. And still, we already had something like that before in the community, but it was always less formal. And I clearly see that for people who contribute, they want to have some formal process in place, so that they want to be ensured that if they found a bug and if they were first one, they will be rewarded, and that if they're not the first one, that there is a transparent process of who was the first one who get the reward and things like that. I think that we all will learn through this process, and also because HackerOne is not just here for AMA, Lori and joined Discord community. You can ask some questions directly, or you can send some proposals of how to make the process better directly. So don't. So we now have new people who are involved in this process. So now, if you have some suggestions, I hope that this process also will be greatly streamlined.
Thank you. There are no
Fantastic.
questions from community.
Okay.
Yeah, my turn. There are no
I'm
questions.
sorry, no, just like 9 last minutes. I just wanted to give the last words to our speakers.
That's what I am talking about. Let's give
Beautiful.
a chance.
Did you also wanted to ask them to cast their idea on the short-term perspective of how the near future of the project should look like? I hope so, because that's what I'm asking them. And I would like to start from Lori. How do you think the short-term perspective for the upcoming future of the project should look like?
Smooth launch, discover some amazing vulnerabilities, learn and improve. No big incidents.
Beautiful. In the spherical vacuum, but let's hope for the best. Vadim, what is your take?
Actually, I haven't been involved deeply into the process of getting it launched. Here, I relied more on professionalism of HackerOne and GONKA team, so no any comments.
And here is the trust that you were speaking about previously. So I'm very happy that you can experience it as well. And you, David,
I like relying on professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best.
So you see, I see this process a little bit personal. Like I have myself some code out there. It will be reviewed. It will be someone will find some bugs out there. So I actually through my career. I, as an engineer, not as a founder, but as an engineer, when I have such responsibilities, I always saw my advantage in compared to other engineers. Then when something is not working, I would first think that I did a mistake. Unfortunately, usually among engineers, it's the opposite stuff. They will try to find it somewhere else. So I actually would really love to see someone to find bugs in my code and help to fix them. Those who know the protocol and so the GitHub repository likely saw some of my commits. They know that for sure there can be some bugs out there, and I would love personally to see some of the reports around the code which I wrote from HackerOne community.
Thank you. It's the first time on my memory when we're actually a little bit before the deadline. We have still some minutes. I wanted to ask Sergey if you have anything to add, because it's always the best to finish on the community.
Yeah, I think I have a few questions, but I keep them. I would like to thank you all, guys. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Vadim. Thank you, David. I think this is a big milestone for our network, this partnership, and it's great news for our community. So that's all. Thank you, guys.
Much appreciated. And I just want to mention that the session will be available extremely shortly online. And not sure if anyone was able to see that, but it was possible to record it if you were on the call as one of the viewers this time. Nonetheless, looking forward to see you all very shortly. And once again, thank you everyone for your time. It's very valuable, and we do appreciate that this new project will allow GONKA to grow and to flourish even further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, facilitators. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lee, for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.